allowing the mind to be fully established in my speech. O self-present Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May your presence illuminate my whole life. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Protect me. Protect the teacher. Oh, peace, peace. Let us close our eyes and feel our innermost being. Our very self. Let us feel it as a steadily burning candle flame. Let us focus on it. As I am focusing on it, I am feeling this light of self has filled my whole personality. And has filled the whole universe too. All fictitious distinctions and separations have dissolved in this infinite ocean of luminosity. Which is ultimate freedom, ultimate bliss. Ultimate peace. We shall begin with the regular opening prayers and the opening prayers they express a beautiful idea. This prayer is from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and it describes, as you can see, that how the stories of the divine incarnations, that is the greatest gift to humanity, because they establish us in our ultimate goal of life. Let us begin with the chant. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavidhiritam Kalmashapaham Shravanamanghalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grinanti Te Bhurida Jana. For quite a few months we have been studying this very special biography of Sri Ramakrishna, and we stopped when we took a break for the summer. I think the last class was on June 23rd. And since a lot of time has elapsed since then, and we will read also a part of the preface of this volume 3, which was in fact written first by the author. The third volume, that is now called third volume, it was published first, written and published first, because the author told that, well, author is Swami Saradananda, and he explained why he wrote this as in the beginning. The reason was he didn't know how far he will be able to continue the writing of this biography, and whether it will reach completion or not. And so he decided to write what he thought to be the most important aspect in the advent of Sri Ramakrishna. So he has given some other reasons as well, but the point is, this is the first introduction, first preface that he wrote to this wonderful biography, and let us read it. It is page 1110 and 1111. We have recorded not only those events and the Master's activities during that time, but we have also discussed, when possible, the moves that prompted him and the purpose and that guided him in performing those actions. Human beings are composed of bodies and minds, so a life history cannot be obtained by studying the material body and its activities. In the materialistic West, a biography or a history shows a skill in collecting facts and figures, but the spiritualistic Hindus focus their efforts on describing thoughts and feelings in an orderly way. We think that a true biography or history can be produced only by combining those two approaches, and that one should record the activities of the material body while keeping the history of the mind in the forefront. So this is the way in which this...
Sorry, can you adjust your mic? The sound is not very clear.
Is it okay right now?
I think, thank you.
Is it better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, it is the body and mind both constitute a human being. In human being, in fact, mind is far more important than merely the body. In other animals, as far as we know, the existence is limited to their body. The awareness that the animals have is also limited to body. It is known from the fact that when an animal is provided with the physical needs, the animal feels quite okay. As long as there is enough food to eat and a fairly good place to dwell in, and the opportunities for procreation are there, then the animals are okay. But with human beings, it is entirely different. Even after all these physical needs have been provided for, the person does not feel fulfilled or satisfied. The fulfillment of physical needs, while it is certainly very necessary, it does not give completion to human life. There are many things which do not fall in the physical realm. They seem to govern the happiness of a human being. So it is the happiness, satisfaction, ease. It is therefore we see so many people, in spite of completely having their physical needs fulfilled, seem to be dissatisfied, seem to be hankering for something more, and many not getting those things even seem to take the ultimate step of committing suicide. There is no dearth of the physical material needs having fulfilled. They have been completely given the fulfillment of those needs. But still human beings seek for something else. So let us remember this special feature of human beings, and therefore when you write the life story of a human being, it is not just physical actions, which year and which day, which time exactly that the person was born, who were the parents, the location, and all that, and then where did he grow, what actions he performed. That is actually comparatively unimportant part of a human biography. It is more important to see how the mind of that person works. And therefore, the importance to the human beings given is much less for their physical attainments, but because of their mental and spiritual attainments. Who gets called a great human being? And not necessarily the one who has shown lot of physical capabilities. Yes, for a time being people cheer that and so forth. But who gets called great human being? The one who has exhibited exemplary qualities of mind. That makes for human greatness, and therefore it is quite natural, important too, to take up the description of both the human as well as the physical as well as the mental aspect of a person. So, in many places in this volume we have discussed Sri Ramakrishna's divine life in light of the scriptures. We have also done a study of this his unique mental states, experiences and activities, comparing them with those of other great souls such as Krishna, Buddha, Shankara and Chaitanya of India, and Jesus and others in other countries. The Master told us explicitly again and again, he who was born as Rama and Krishna in previous ages is now in this sheath, as he pointed to his own body. And that was a very clear, unmistakable statement that Sri Ramakrishna made. And he made it even till the end of his life, when he was so emaciated, not just bedridden, but was not having any enough food intake, almost no food intake. He had been reduced to a sack of bones. One can see that in the picture, in that photograph, when his body was kept for cremation. All other disciples are standing there, and they on a bedstead. Sri Ramakrishna's body is kept. When I first saw that picture, I was looking, where is Sri Ramakrishna's body? His body was reduced to such a small size that one has to really look for it. And he was a very healthy person. He's a very tall and well-built person. But he had reduced to that state of physicality. That physical existence was of that state. And at that time, Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda, looking at him, thought that in this state, if he says, the one who was Rama and one who was Krishna is Ramakrishna in this body, then I will accept. Because when we are in prime of health and enthusiasm is just bubbling up, one may say many things. But now the person cannot even change the sides, is reduced to just bones, is not able to speak with any proper voice. But in that state, before even Narendra's that thought was complete, Sri Ramakrishna sat upright on the bed and with loud and clear voice said, "Doubt even now?" Narendra, that future later Swami Vivekananda describes it, that had he found a thunderbolt striking in that room, still that wouldn't have surprised him more. When Sri Ramakrishna's that emaciated body sat upright and in a clear voice declared that yes, the one who was Rama and Krishna is Ramakrishna in this body. So the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna have tested it with all the possible tests applied there. They were young, university educated, Western education was there with them, and many were students of science, mathematics, logic, all that, and they tested Sri Ramakrishna's statements, his state of samadhi, his state of constant communion with the divine, and they could not but accept this state of his, that yes, there is the divine manifesting as a human being, and therefore the moods, the mental states of Sri Ramakrishna's life need to be discussed by someone who has more familiarity than other people with it. For ordinary human beings, it is possible, that because we act in a similar way, and with the corresponding mental state, our physical actions, they happen in the similar fashion. So by describing the physical actions, one can get a glimpse of the mental attitude of that person. But that is not the case with Sri Ramakrishna or such great incarnations, where the whole purpose of that life is very different. They have no unfulfilled desires which prompt the ordinary human actions. What a different idea, you see, that it is that if you, for example, see a person going hurriedly to a table where food is arranged, and you see that there is a tired look on his face, you may know that, well, the person must be feeling very hungry. And that action describes also the inner state. If you see that the person when is eating a particular type of food and the joy is shining in that person's eyes and face, hey, the person is liking that food. But you see a distorted facial expression while eating, then you know that that person is not loving that particular variety of food. So the mental, these moods you can see them expressed in the body. And so even by describing the physical actions of a person, one can have a glimpse of the mental state when it comes to people like us who have more or less similar physical actions to when they have a particular emotion surging up. Suppose, just think of it, that if Punita wins a lottery, then you will see more shine on her face, isn't it? Yeah, even that saying made her laugh, you see. Wow, very good. It is. Because this is common, when you have some gain, it is fine. It is, many would be smiling if the Red Sox wins the game, then by that you will see that their mental attitudes and physical actions, they have that kind of correspondence. But imagine where there is no want at all. In fact, ordinary people will find it impossible to imagine that state of mind, because we always have many desires bubbling in us. Sometimes we feel that there is no desire in me because too many desires are getting bottlenecked and nothing is able to come out. So it appears that I don't have a particular desire. Yes, no particular desire is able to make presence because too many of them are rushing simultaneously to come out and so blocking each other. It is, therefore, we have desires, and those desires prompt corresponding actions. And this is very clear in our activities. So one can feel like you can see a person sees you coming into this hall to listen to this lecture. So by this action, a person can derive a more or less correct conclusion that this person must be interested in Vedanta and so forth, likes to study Vedanta, because this person has been coming to Vedanta society not just once but many times has come. So therefore one can draw a natural conclusion. By looking at the actions, you understand the motive, the intention behind that action. Now, if a person has no motive at all, then to get the explanation of the actions become very difficult, as it happens in the case of those who are insane. Just out of insanity, the person killed somebody. Insane actions. Many these shootings, they have happened not out of any motive behind it as such. Some have had motives, and there were some which were just the product of insanity, that the person didn't have any intention, but an intention that we can discern was not there. And so there is the action seen, and the motive inside could not be connected there. So we call such people, some problem here. We are not able to understand why this person does like that. Abnormal. Sri Ramakrishna was also branded insane. quite naturally, I do sympathize with people who would call Sri Ramakrishna as insane on the grounds that his actions did not match any motives as such. So, therefore, the people at Dakshineshwar, the workers there, they found it hard to make a sense that why he is doing like this. It is quite understandable that this person does the puja in a good manner and panders the owners so that he can get a raise for his doing worship, get reward for it. That is all understandable. But it is impossible for them to understand that why this priest, Sri Ramakrishna, a priest appointed and getting some meager wages and could be thrown out of the job if the owners are not pleased. This priest, in front of so many people, gives a slap to the owner, Rani Rasmani. So what is it? It is insane. The priest has gone insane. Choto Bhattacharya, that is how he was called then, that he has gone insane. That is why he hit this Rani Rasmani. So many such incidents are seen, not understandable by our common way of connecting motive and actions. And therefore, Sri Ramakrishna's mental attitude needs to be described separately. That he was not insane, but much saner than us, which again, we are not able to gauge. Like we see, our vision is limited only to certain spectrum, that the certain wavelengths in that range we can see, and the vibrations which are of still lower frequency we cannot see, those which are of higher frequency, those also which we cannot see. So therefore both are invisible for us. So all get clubbed together as insane. But Sri Ramakrishna's awareness was of a much higher state than ordinary people, and the proof of it was that he could understand the moods, the intentions and actions of other people without fail. His statement, and which has been corroborated by the events in this life, that I can see the minds of everyone as if they are the objects in a glass case. Think of it, it is let alone the minds of others. We even have not any understanding of the functioning of our own minds. Here is a person who very clearly states it, that yes, the minds of everybody are so clear to me. So it is a very special awareness, and that is why he is worshipped. His life needs to be followed, so that illumination will come to our life also. This is another special feature of this biography, that it has a purpose. It is for the spiritual aspirants, because that is the only purpose of this advent of divine in such human form, as Shankaracharya describes it, that without any motive, swaprayojana api abhave, and there is complete absence of any axe to grind, no personal desires at all, swaprayojana bhave api, bhutanujigrikshaya, out of compassion for all beings, to bring that illumination to them. Dehavan iva, jata iva, karma kurvan iva cha lakshyate, that there you see this being as if born, as if having a body, as if doing all this action of showering grace on others. It is all as if. As if is a very beautiful idea, and from that the title of this book has been derived. As if means it is in a theater show. Somebody is taking up a role of some person, and the person actually may not be drinking at all, and yet may do to perfection the role of a drunkard. It is it is as if this person is like that. The person may be a very actually a very calm, quiet, compassionate person in his life, but on stage may take up the role of villain, and thus show all the villainity. It is said that one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he is considered the father of Bengali theatre, Girish Chandra Ghosh, an ardent devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. An incident is told in his biography. He was such wonderful actor that in a particular theatre show, in his drama, he was depicting these actions of a bad character, a villain. And it was so real-like. Amongst the audience was another great figure of Bengali society of all times, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. That he was seated in the audience, and he became so perturbed. He took out his shoe and ran to the stage to beat this Girish Chandra Ghosh. And as he threw the shoe, it is said that Girish Chandra said that is the greatest reward that he got for his acting. Now, as if he has become villain, as if somebody has become hero, as if somebody is loving somebody. On the theatre, on the stage, they show lot of love. The characters may not have actually any love between them, but on the stage they show a wonderful performance that people feel that, oh, how great love these people have. But that is only for that stage hour. After that hour is over, then they go their own way. So it is like that, as if this person is not born actually, but as if born, as if assuming a human form, as if acting like a human being, without actually getting limited by the appearance of human being, is a very special thing, friends, to see that he is a human and not a human. That purpose of Sri Ramakrishna's life is thus to bring that illumination to us that you also actually are not this body. You are the all-pervading self. You have to get this illumination to fulfill your life, to bring that illumination, and the way to bring it is the purpose of that God incarnating as human being. It is demonstrated here, and so you can follow. And this biography is also written to help people to see that it is an aid to spiritual life, that to the life where we can feel our true essence, and which is same in all, and thus our life will get over the frustrations, the sufferings, when we are caged in the human body. See, getting caged in human body is naturally, we are infinite, and we are identified with, say, 150 pounds of flesh and so forth. Isn't it a terrible bondage? It is, therefore one has to get over it to become free. We all want to be free, but this is the bondage that we are in. And so the incarnations show the way, that look at me. Here I am just in appearance like you. That is why the saying goes that God becomes man, so that man may become God. It is to realize one's divinity in this way is the purpose, and therefore, as Jesus has said, that I am the goal, I am the way. That is how the incarnation of God is. Here you see the goal of one's life, and not just a theoretical understanding, but the way how you also can become like that. When we see one human being doing something, then we see the possibility, since that person could do it, I can also do it. Otherwise, well, to experience God is considered impossible by almost all intellectuals. Intellectuals means those who rely on their intellectual prowess. And they are right. By intelligent means by one's brain, one cannot realize God. One cannot even prove the existence of God. It is not possible to prove the existence of God through intellect, and therefore there is no God, and nobody can experience God. That becomes the notion established in people. One whom I mentioned, Vidyasagar, a brilliant man, and he told Sri Ramakrishna in their meeting. It is recorded in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna with great details. So he mentions to Sri Ramakrishna that after all, even the scriptures also say that God cannot be seen. God is beyond mind and intellect and speech. And so our purpose in life is to make this world beautiful, very good. Let us make this world heavenly. And that's about it. Now, this world, it is not possible to make it heavenly because of the inherent contradictions in it. It is like we want peace, there should be no wars at all. But do we know what price it is to not to have wars? It is easy to say that let there be no wars. So many our things which appear to be peaceful depend on wars. It is so many factories in United States will get closed down. The economy will collapse. A lot of scientific research, like in MIT, will be stopped because it is funded mostly for the military. So it is, and so many great inventions that we use now, for example, even the internet, that we cannot think of life without internet. It was actually an invention for military. It is also the glass. Now we have these buildings made by glass. This tough glass was invented specially for military. Then lot of our trade with other countries, it is all the military. So even though we have lot of talk about peace, it is practically not possible. It is it was never possible in the history. That was there a period when there were no wars? No. And so you can just project that line forward, that in such 10-20,000 years of human history that we more or less have some glimpse of, you don't see the war has ceased. So it is a contradiction. We want happiness, but our search for happiness ends in misery. That is an inherent contradiction in this. Our love is coupled with hatred. It is an inherent contradiction in human experience. So you can see our living is marching towards death, that we call living. It is, all these things are very complicated. It is therefore this world as it is wonderful. It is a great world to practice this discipline to get out of it. It is for getting out of this delusion that the world helps us. It is the contradictions, it is in mathematics when you reach a contradiction means you have to give up the assumption that led to the contradiction. In fact, that is one of the methods used in mathematics to prove certain things. That suppose you assume the opposite of it, and then it leads to contradiction. So what led to the contradiction? That assumption, kick it out. So that is how the assumption that this world is real is not correct, because taking it to be real, you end up in having these irresolvable contradictions in life. But it has a utility that while living in this world, we can see that it is not real. God alone is real, and to realize that is the goal of life. And that is what these incarnations of God do to us. That look at this, that this person is not at all concerned with what ordinarily people run after or are terribly worried about. And yet this person is immersed in bliss that does not depend on any environment or other people. This person's bliss is immutable bliss, just not at all, well, how my spouse behaves with me, if that is going to dictate my bliss, then, it is not possible to be blissful all the time, because how my spouse will behave, can I control that? What, Subhashish, can you control that? No, so therefore you cannot really say that I will always be happy, because it doesn't just depend on me, it depends on how the other person does that. It is, if it is dependent on whether Red Sox wins or loses, then can I be always happy? What, Paul? Can I be happy if that is, those people have to play to win, and if they win then I become happy. So it is, Sri Ramakrishna's happiness did not depend on anything. If I don't have headache, then I am happy. So my happiness depends on getting headache or not getting headache. Sri Ramakrishna, in spite of all terrible sickness, was immersed in bliss. So this is what he demonstrates and teaches. And we have been studying this life according to this great author, Swami Saradananda, a person, a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who has attained that state of illumination, what we call Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana, self-knowledge, and thus has a much better understanding of the workings of Sri Ramakrishna's mind. So it is a great fortune that we have a biography written by a direct disciple of incarnation. This is the first instance when a direct disciple of a God incarnation writes down with meticulous details the biography of incarnation. This is the only biography of an incarnation, friends, which has been written by his own direct disciples, and also he has taken care not only to show the moods and the intentions of Sri Ramakrishna, but also has recorded all the facts with that factual correctness as far as feasible, as far as possible. And therefore we see that this is an important thing, a great blessing for us to study this biography. We had been studying, and from next Tuesday we shall take up where we left on the Tuesday in June. So, do you have any questions about today's discussion? Any questions? Yes, Charlie? Because, see, the beauty is not dependent on our sense organs as such. It is our sense organs get a reading of it according to its state. But the beauty is an objective thing, and that beauty is the source of all The secondary beauty that we feel, it is what our senses describe as beautiful today. They may not describe it as beautiful or desirable next moment. Like we had some little children as guests, so they wanted to eat something. And as it happens with children, no, we want it, we like it. And then they were eating with, initially, with great gusto. Thank you. They thanked Abhijit, who made it for them. And then that which was liked in 2 minutes, it didn't take them more than 2-3 minutes to see that they don't like it. Now that is the nature of beauty as appreciated by senses. But the true beauty of the divine, again, that surpasses the sense experience. And that beauty never becomes ugly. All, without exception, all other beautiful things, they appear very beautiful at one moment and ugly another moment. That is the nature of this sense experience. It is, therefore, the true beauty is that which never becomes ugly, that therefore transcends the senses. Yes. Yes, Pritish. Yes. Yeah, both of them are intellect. One is lower because your question is very good, important question. These two aspects of intellect, one that just hovers horizontally, and other that discerns between what is right and what is not right, and thus travels vertically. These are two different approaches of intellect, but both of them cannot take us to the ultimate truth. You have to transcend them. One is better than the other. One will be able to at least tell us that this world that we see is not reliable at all. The horizontal intellect, it is horizontal in the sense it moves in the same plane, just more details of the same plane. That is the horizontal intellect. That, okay, we discovered this method of producing this medication. Now we worked hard and produced a new method, much cheaper and more efficient method of making that medication. Now this is a horizontal reason, and which has its field of utility. But the vertical reason is that, okay, that we understood that this is this medication. Now what it cannot cure, let us go for that. It is a vertical step. That which is the source of life, let us take a look at that, try to discern that. That is going vertically. Once you realize this, that intellect realizes that this world is getting caught in names and forms. That is not real. and so I have to go beyond that. So that is a vertical intellect. That now once you realize that everything in this sense experience is fraught with constant change, and therefore there is nothing permanent here, that anybody can easily see. Once you see that, you should develop detachment for it, and then try to see something that is permanent. So that is how that intellect is a superior intellect, as you mentioned rightly, that which makes discernment. But that intellect, while it is certainly a necessary tool to realize God, it still cannot prove the existence of God. It can prove the falsity of this world, but cannot prove. It can indicate, but cannot prove. And in fact, that is the fate of all science. Science, by its very nature, cannot prove anything. It can disprove, but it cannot prove that the most prominent of the philosophers of science, his name was Popper. He has many highly respected books about philosophy of science. And he has pointed out that the science being empirical, it works on the available data and comes to certain conclusions. But it cannot say that no new data will be available, and a new data available can topple this conclusion. And it has happened in the history of science numerous times. And therefore, what is proved is not really a proof as such. So this is the limitation of science even in the mundane things. What to speak of that intellect proving God? It is not possible. But it can show us that what is likely to take us Godwards. That much it can indicate, can show. Yes. Any other question? Yes, Paul? Oh, we will be starting on page 422 next time, where we had stopped in June. Yeah. Yes, I keep on forgetting your name. Vailuko. Yeah. Yes, Vailuko, please. Very good question. And when they say I am Krishna, I am Rama, they are pointing it out at their stage character, like a John Smith acting Macbeth. When on stage, what will that person say? If you call him, hey John, how are you doing? Will not answer. Because the play will then all get disturbed, because that fellow is Macbeth at that time. Next time he will be Julius Caesar next day. And now will he not say the same being who was Julius Caesar was also Macbeth? So like that same one divine principle who acted in this human plane as Rama and Krishna and Buddha and Jesus, that is Ramakrishna. That is how, although infinite, they are acting with this assumed identity for teaching the humanity. It is a very, very difficult principle to understand that how the God becomes a human. Very difficult to comprehend. I am talking to you, but that doesn't mean that I comprehend it fully. It is, but through spiritual practice, through more and more purification of our mind and eradication of our ego, one starts understanding those things better and better. Thank you. So let us have the concluding prayers. Coming Sunday, friends, there is, after the Sunday lecture, there is a music concert by a very celebrated singer from India, Shantanu Bhattacharya. He will be giving a concert of classical music after the Sunday service, that is at 6 o'clock. Sunday service and Arati. So by 6:15 the concert will begin. There is a good possibility also that our Swami from England, Swami Sarvasthananda, who recently took the charge of center in England, he is right now in US and may come on that day. He is actually planning to come on that day. So instead of this person speaking on that day, he will be giving the Sunday lecture. It all depends on the travels and all. So I am keeping my fingers crossed. So may the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One, is it there? Okay. Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.